Welcome back to another segment of the Raider Rundown. Today we've got a special guest with us who knows exactly what it takes to make the jump from high school football to the college level. Joining us today is Maddux McKinney, a former high school player for Macquarie Central who is now playing his football career at the NAIA college level. Maddux, thanks for joining us today.
Yep, thanks for having me.
So, Max, let's start from the beginning. Take us back to your high school football days and tell us what made you first want to pursue football at the college level.
Well, obviously in high school I played three sports. I played basketball, baseball, and football. And once COVID hit, I really fell in love with the sport of football more than I did the other two, and I just wanted to pursue playing collegiate football over the other two. And I just started my journey then.
Yeah. So, transitioning from the high school to college, what was one of the biggest adjustments that you had to make?
Yeah. The biggest one I would say is just the jump of competition.
Yeah.
Um, you're playing better competition, and the coaches are depending on you more. It's more of a job.
Mm-hmm.
It's more schematical. Um, but I would say the biggest one was probably just the competition aspect. Is everyone in college is very good, so every
Yeah.
day you got to be your best.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that, kind of surprised you about playing college?
Um, Not that I really hadn't expected. I think the biggest part for me was just having a plan because in high school, the days are structured the same for however long you go on until the summer break, and then in college, it's a little more unorganized, and you're having to figure things out yourself. So
Yeah.
I had to really figure that out in the first semester of college.
Yeah. How different are the practices that you have in college compared to high school?
They're way more scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're detail oriented. The drills in college are more built to fit the scheme that we're running. And everyone in college mostly has a pre-practice routine. They're out there early. There's no joking around. It's more business.
Yeah.
And I would say another big thing in football is like you practice special teams like you do the other two, offense and defense. And in high school, you don't really see that as much. So.
Yeah. How much faster and more physical would you say it is?
Ooh, I would say it's a huge jump. I think there's um, big differences at every level. If you go
Yeah.
from middle school to high school or high school to college, you're always going to get a jump in the physicality and the speed of the game. I think that is another hard adjustment is you don't realize how competitive it is over there, especially with the transfer portal and everyone's out there to make a name for themselves. So
Yeah.
they're trying to hit you harder. They're playing full speed and know what's going on because it's their job. So
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things that really, separates the boys from the men as per se, separates
no
the high
doubt,
school level to the college level. That's what separates it.
you feel the hits in college way more
Yeah.
for sure.
So, what did you have to improve on the most to compete at the college level?
Honestly, everything. Um, I had to change my sleeping schedule. I
Hmm.
had to change the way I ate. Um, I had to change the way I ran my routes, the way I blocked, the way I studied film. Um, all that stuff is really important in college, and I think the biggest thing is, if you want to compete at that level, you have to really pay attention to the details and the smaller things as well.
Yeah.
And so I had to improve in just my mindset, really.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even your mindset at the high school level, transitioning from the middle school level, you have to change your mindset a lot.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, kind of walk us through your recruiting process. How did you end up at this specific college, which would be University of the Cumberlands?
Well, my recruiting process was very long. Um, my junior year, I started getting looked at from some schools in Kentucky, like Eastern Kentucky and Moorhead. And then going into my senior year, I also had interest in Tennessee Tech, but
Hmm.
things didn't go through with them. Um, And then I played my high school season really with no offers throughout until the last game of my senior year. Um, that same day is the day I set the single season record for um, receiving yards in a season.
Yeah.
And it was just a conversation with the receivers coach now at the Cumberlands. Coach Beecham came to the high school and sat down with me and Coach Privet and my dad, and he said they wanted to offer me a scholarship after he'd watched me play a game that season at home, and that's we went from there. It was really just Twitter and reaching out to coaches and not being afraid of telling them I wanted to play at the next level.
Yeah. So, you had mentioned that the scholarship was one of the benefits of you choosing your school, but like, what were some other factors that are important when choosing?
Um, well, obviously football. Yeah, the scholarship was huge. I wanted to play football at the next level. That's what I set my mind to as a little kid. I wanted to play football at the next level or whatever that may be, baseball or basketball. I wasn't sure then, but and then the academic aspect. Obviously, you want to go to an institution that cares about academics and is going to get me a good degree in the future. And the most important thing for me, honestly, was just the community. I know 30 minutes away, if people want to come watch me play a game in college, they can hit 92 and head right over.
Yeah.
And um, the Christian community at the Cumberlands is really what I wanted to surround myself with.
Yeah.
Being around people that I'm familiar with and also are going to make me a better man.
Yeah, you definitely have at this particular college, which is over in Williamsburg. It's definitely a much more community knit family, I think.
1,000%. Yep.
So, what would be some advice that you would give to a high school player who might want to get recruited?
I would say um, don't be scared to put your name out there. And the biggest thing is perform every day and want to grow because college athletics is really a performance based business. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to want to grow and learn every day, and you have to perform at the end of the day, or you're not going to get that opportunity. And the last thing I'd say is be patient because I didn't get the opportunity until the end of my senior season um, to know I was going to play at the next level. So you have to be patient and just enjoy the process.
Yeah. Would you think? Do you think that academics would be an important part of a recruiting process?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I know at the Cumberlands, I don't know um, how other institutions are, but I know with the football program at the Cumberlands, like it's very important. We have a standard of a 3.0 GPA or higher, and if you don't meet that standard, um, they're not going to offer you a scholarship.
Yeah.
So I would say it's very important. It also shows the coaches that you're willing to do the little things. High
Yeah.
school classes, you can't do well and succeed in those, then you're probably not going to be a very good college athlete.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. So talking about some of your college life, what's the hardest part about balancing football and schoolwork?
Um, I would say early on as a freshman, it was just adjusting to the schedules, because football is a full time job
Yeah.
and so is academics. So putting the two together, you stay busy, and then adding it in with the weightlifting and just the small things like trying to keep your weight up and um, studying the plays, watching film. Like it's a full time job with
Yeah.
football alone, and then you add the academic aspect and the homework and those things, and you really have to have a schedule or it'll really blow up in your face.
Yeah. What's something about being a college athlete that people at home probably don't realize? I mean, I know you've talked about managing your time would be really hard, but like, what's something else that people don't realize?
Um, I would honestly just say that I think people don't really realize the different levels of competition. I think um, obviously Division 1 FBS, like you're going to have a lot of guys that are getting paid sometimes millions of dollars to play at the next level. But
Mm-hmm.
also, there's guys at the Cumberlands that are FBS transfers that are out to make a name for themselves. Maybe they had an injury and are trying to bounce back and get back to that level, and they're real competitors. Like they're that level of a player, and they're playing at the Cumberland. So I think people fail to realize how fortunate we are to have an amazing university that's literally right down 92. And
Yeah.
I think people just fail to realize that being a Division I athlete is not the end all be all.
Yeah.
Um, just getting your college paid for and understanding like there's a lot of great players that come out of the University of the Cumberlands as well.
Yeah.
Um, we we had a catcher last year that was the best catcher in all of college baseball. I mean, has the home run record for all of college baseball. And I've seen people get drafted out of the Cumberland since I've been there. And I think people don't realize that the level of coaching that I have over there as well. Like, we have some really legit coaches that have coached at multiple levels. So,
Hmm. So, moving on to your mentality and development, what has football taught you about the most about discipline?
oh, that's a good question. Um, I would say everything. Um, discipline's huge. If you don't do the little things, if you don't eat the right things, you're not sleeping enough, you're not studying enough, working out enough, um, discipline can prevent you from seeing the field if it's not good. You have to do everything the right way to achieve and succeed in life. And um, I think discipline is a huge part of that. If you can find that self discipline, then it'll take you pretty far.
Yeah. How do you handle not getting, maybe not all the playing time that you want?
Oh, well, I've been in that situation. Getting to the Cumberlands,
Hmm.
you feel like you're the man in high school, and then you get to college and you realize that everyone there was the man at their high school, right? And
Yeah.
um, everyone had success, and that's why they're there. So I think the answer to that is you either work harder or you quit. I've seen both happen. Um, you can have the mentality to work harder, and eventually that time will come, or you can give it up. And I chose to work harder freshman year and got redshirted and really just tried to focus on the little things, and that's what got me on the field.
Yeah, I think one thing that you need whenever you're trying to find playing time is you have to separate yourself from the rest of the crowd to make that coach say, hey, maybe we should give this player an opportunity.
Yeah, it's a trust system. If I'm a coach, why would I put somebody out there that I don't fully trust yet? You
Yep,
know,
exactly.
their jobs are on the line. That's how they provide for their families.
Hmm.
So why would they put somebody on the field that they don't fully trust?
Yeah, I totally agree. Who do you think that has been the biggest influence on your football career so far?
I would say my coaches. Um, they poured into me a whole lot,
Yeah.
and I feel like I know so little still. But way more than when I arrived at the Cumberlands. They taught me a lot about the game that I didn't know. In high school it was more of a show up and go play ball for me. Um,
Yeah.
and now it's really you have to focus on the little things. There's so many details that you can miss from week to week that can cost you games.
Uh
So
huh.
I would say all my coaches.
Yeah. So like, what's one thing if looking back, you're in college now. Obviously, you're playing football. Would there be anything that you wish you could have done differently in high school?
Um, I think I could have worked out more intentionally. I think
Yeah.
sometimes going in the weight room for basketball or football, you're just kind of dreading the lift. But I think in high school I didn't really enjoy the process. You enjoy the games, obviously, but really paying attention to detail in practice and wanting to improve in the weight room, I think that could have been a huge difference.
Yeah. Definitely. If like put like just what I've seen so far from our athletes here at the high school currently, you have to put in the work to be any good. You gotta want it too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that's my 2 cents about it. But looking ahead at some of your goals, what do you have set as a goal this season for you?
Um, Personally or as a team?
Both.
As a team, I'd say our goal is to make the playoffs. I think that's a pretty set goal for us that we've established. We want to make the playoffs at the Cumberlands and see what happens from there. And the way to do that is either win the conference or the way we broke it up is try to go 4-1 in both halves of the season, and that'll give you a pretty good chance. And then personally, I want to be an all-conference football player at the University of the Cumberlands. I don't think that that's been achieved by anyone um, from McCray County in football. I could be wrong, but and then I just want to be the best teammate I can be and leave a footprint for the future Cumberland football players and McCray County football players that want to eventually play at the next level.
Yeah. What does some success look like for you beyond football? Whether it be like what your career plans are.
Yeah, I still don't really know what I want to do career wise. I'm still caught in between my business major and I want to coach. So I would just say success for me would be just showing up every day at whatever I do and choosing to be better.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's with anybody to have that positive mindset.
Yep.
So, how do you hope, or do you hope to continue playing football after college? Would that be a possibility?
Oh, yeah, I would love to do that if my body can, take the brunt of it.
Yeah,
College football is it's rough on your body, and we have a good training staff over there at the Cumberlands, and that helps a lot. But I think that's the biggest thing that would prevent me from going on to maybe play some arena or overseas or anything like that. Would be just the physical aspect of it.
yeah. So we're starting to wind down this segment. So I want to start asking you some rapid fire, fun questions. So, who was your toughest opponent in high school?
What sport?
Uh, since we're doing football, let's go football.
I would say Bell County for sure. That was always a game I looked forward to because I wanted to beat them, but I don't think I ever accomplished that. So I would say them. They always had some good players.
Yeah. Who was the toughest teammate you ever had to go against in practice?
Toughest teammate?
Mm-hmm.
I would say um, Kyle Stevens on the basketball court.
Yeah.
And then on the football field, I don't know if you know, but Colin Williams was a defensive end we had my junior year, and he was when I was playing quarterback, he was really a tough one to go against.
Yeah, that was before my time, but if you say he was tough, he's probably tough.
He's about 6'7".
Oh well, yeah, he's probably tough. What's your favorite football memory from high school?
I would say my last game was my favorite memory. Um, I got that scholarship offer during the school day, and then afterwards I got to go out and play my last football game for McCurry Central and broke the single season record in 10 games, and that was a really fun night when we won that game pretty large amount. So
Yeah, do you have like a favorite college football memory?
yes, definitely. Scoring my first touchdown my sophomore year at Reinhardt, we were down 28-0, came all the way back, and I scored the touchdown that really brought us back in the game. It was 28-14. We scored on a huge 40-yard touchdown, and I was struggling to see the field at that point, and I got an opportunity, and that was really the start of things. So that was a really special moment.
Yeah. Last rapid fire question: if you could go back to your freshman year of high school, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
I would say the biggest piece of advice would be just to want to learn more. Um, I think in high school you sometimes take it for granted, some of the things that our high school has
Mm-hmm.
uh, with academics and the good teachers and the coaches. I think that really just listening to what they have to say and mastering your craft
Yeah.
is very important, and the willingness to want to learn more is huge.
Yeah, that's really a big thing. So, last and final question for the night. For the high school players that's listening right now, who dream of playing college football at some point, what would you tell them they need to start doing right now today?
I would say just don't be afraid to maximize your opportunities. Eventually there's going to be a time that comes when you're going to get the opportunity to make a choice, and I think that choice is probably the most powerful thing we have as humans. We can choose to do things, and I think that when you get that choice to go be something great and take those steps, or if you want to be lazy and not pursue what you want to do with your life, then that's a choice. And I think you should choose to want to better yourself every day.
Yep. Well, Maddox, I want to thank you for coming on the show. If anybody wants to go see Maddox play, their next home game is August 27th at 7 p.m. at University of the Cumberland's football field. So, Maddox, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Paul. Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
We'll see everybody next week.